Hi everyone and welcome for today's video. If you want to see me struggle with a resin project, you will have a good time watching me do this project here. As you can see, this is not the beginning of the project. More or less it is already the first layer down, which I totally failed on and want to see if I can save it or not. Let's come to the history of this piece. Once upon a time, this was just an MDF board squared by 40 by 40 centimeters. I did spend some time outside my terrace and did add some construction foam onto this. So I did a couple of projects where I used the construction foam already, and I can put you some pictures here from projects that have succeeded into this video so that you can see which effects you can get by using this construction foam. So after a while it's going to get dry, and so you can cut it with a knife and then rub onto it with a knife or whatever tool you would like to use, and you get this really rough texture. For this one here I wanted to have a really dark, rocky, clustered, cliff-like landscape area, which is the upper left part. And I wanted to use my signature color palette, which is a dark blue, a white and a gold. I also used a metallic lighter blue here and wanted to see how this one works. As you can see in the beginning, this did not really turn out as great. But I kind of like the color palette and the basic idea though, so I decided to add a second layer. And I must say, this project is a really old one. I do have this footage on my hard drive here for I think 1.5 years, and I was really struggling with myself if I shall make the video and show to you or if I don't, because the beginning phase and the middle phase was not really as I hoped it will turn out, as I really didn't like it that much. But at least I like the end result, so stay tuned. But when I was thinking about if I showed or not, I thought, why not stay real and show also the struggles that they're on the way, not only the great, awesome, breathtaking results. And for those of you who know me for longer, you know that I occasionally show these mediocre, just to have everyone motivated that not each and every artwork is going to turn out as great, even if you have a hang for a medium or a drawing, painting style whatsoever. At this point when I made this video, I couldn't even say that I had a hang for resin. And even now, 2 years later, I still wouldn't say that I have a hang for resin, because resin always has its own head. Of course, there are techniques like geode and such where you can control it better, whatever, but occasionally resin still does what it wants. For the second layer I pretty much used the same color palette. I used the heat gun to blow it around, and again it really was not as pleasing as I hoped. So the resin just did not interlace as I hoped to, it doesn't blend that well, it didn't give me the effects I hoped for. So at this point I pretty much was sure that I should change the resin I used. Until this point I used a rather cheap resin, which is not meant to be an art resin, but for the sake of testing it, I ordered it on Amazon and give it a try, but it was overall too liquid, it doesn't really work as great. So for the last part I switched over to a more art-like resin. I actually cannot really tell you which resin it was, if it was the art resin or the Mastercast. It's too long ago since I made this project. But changing the resin also kind of changed the game. For the last layer and final layer on this project, I decided to not use any gold anymore. I just didn't like how this turned and just decided for white, blue and a dark blue. I also decided not to use the heat gun that much, so I just warmed it up a little bit to get rid of the air bubbles. I used a palette knife to swipe it more or less over each other to get the lacing effect, and then using a torch to get the selling lacing of the white resin paint. So this was actually a much better solution for this time, because as there were already 2 layers of resin on there, the edges really rounded up already. So if I would have heated up the resin to a point that the heat gun does, most of it would have just flown over the edge and landed on my table. This was something I really wanted to avoid. I could have taped it, yes, but this didn't really come to me at this point. So again, it was 2 years ago. Bottom line, after the third layer, I really could live with the pour itself. So I liked how this one turned out, but I really didn't like the color of the landscape area now. So this really looked off. It looked too rough, there were too many holes in there, so I didn't really like how this one turned out against the resin pour area. So I decided to fill it up and see if this works for me. So I put some silver colored resin into a syringe and filled up these holes, but this really didn't work for me as well. So I decided to change the color from the grayscale rocky part into a gold and see how this works against the blue, which I know works great, but you know, painting over this was a thing. But it worked out and it looked better, but still I didn't like that I put the silver in there, because silver and gold normally does not really go that well. So the struggle continues. I added some glass nuggets on there, put some resin over there to glue it down, and finally, after, I don't know, so many struggles with this project, I called it done. I liked the look and the design much better than in the beginning. And I really hope this kind of inspired you to not give up on your projects as well. Even if it's not the prettiest in the beginning, there's always a way to kind of fix it. I could have gone even wilder and add a fourth layer until I have the super most pretty look ever, perhaps. But at this point I was really happy with the result and wanted it to stay as it was. And at some point, if this painting is going to find a new home. So as usual, I cannot wait to hear what you think about the project. Let me know in the comments if you liked it, what you probably would have changed on the go, if you have some recommendations what you would have done or how you would probably have fixed it. So yeah, let me know. So if you're new to my channel, please make sure to leave me a thumbs up if you liked the video, subscribe if you haven't done already, and have a look at my other videos, which I hope you will also like, of course. So the materials that I've used are linked down below in the video description, as well as my social media links, my Etsy store, if you want to have a look at this as well. Thank you for watching, thank you for your time, and other than that, I hope to see you in my next videos. Have a great day, bye bye.